Valerian is probably the most studied. It's a root. It's called the valerian root. But to be clear, it's an anti-anxiety medication, right? So what it is it helps lower your level of anxiety. And that is the reason why it has a tendency to work. Interestingly, when you look at the data, it works better when combined with hops, like what you'd find in beer. So a lot of times when you're looking for a preparation, you should look for valerian plus hops as the preparation. Also, we should talk for a second about supplements. A lot of people don't understand this, but a lot of people will put a whole bunch of different supplements together and put it into a capsule. I don't think that's the best idea. I think you should have single ingredient supplementation.
Why?
Well, number one, you get the correct dose, so you know it's actually working for you. There's a lot of companies out there that are that make a powder or something, and they put a bunch of stuff in it, and they put just enough in there to be able to say it on the ingredient profile, but not enough for it to actually do any good for the patient. So I like using single ingredient supplement profiles because I know exactly how much of each thing that I'm going to get in there, and I can make sure that it's the correct dosage for what the person needs. So I prefer single ingredient supplementation.
Okay, so valerian.
Yep, valerian root.
Not going to mess up my hormones?
Nope, it's not going to mess up your hormones.
Going to help me with overthinking?
Probably not. What it'll probably do is slow your thinking down a little bit, depending upon how much of it you take. I think if you're looking for something that's going to slow down your thinking, then I would say we don't have the thing here, but it's called GABA, G-A-B-A, gamma aminobutyric acid. So this is a substance that your body makes. It's kind of the brakes of the brain, and you can buy it as a supplement. I've had several people use that, and that seems to help calm people down in the evening times.
What about ashwagandha or whatever it's called?
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha.
Exactly. I just kind of like saying it. So here's my theory on supplementation is the first thing I tell people to do is go do blood work. Okay? What deficiencies do you have? Fix your deficiencies first. Before we start going to the valerians and the melatonins of it all, if you're deficient in vitamin D, magnesium, iron, fix those three things first. Dude, I can't tell you. I probably 15% of the people that show up on my doorstep, we do blood work on, and all I do is fix their deficiencies, and their sleep magically gets better.
What are some of the surprising things there that you discover? Like blood sugar, like diabetes, that impacts sleep, no?
It absolutely does. I also think that a lot of people who have uncontrolled diabetes, it wakes them up in the middle of the night because their blood sugar gets so low, and then they're hungry in the middle of the night, then they end up eating in the middl of the night, then they end up with sleep eating syndrome, which is kind of a pain.
There's this one here that I've never heard of before. What's this one?
It's called tryptophan. So L-tryptophan in particular. So tryptophan is the substance that we find in turkey that has a tendency to make people sleepy. However, when you really look at the data, you'd have to eat a 46-pound turkey in order to get enough tryptophan to make you sleepy. Even in my best days in college, dude, I couldn't eat a 46-pound turkey, okay? Same holds true with milk. Tryptophan is the thing in warm milk that supposedly makes people sleepy, but once again, you'd have to drink almost a half a gallon of warm milk, which is kind of disgusting, in order to do it. Tryptophan can be helpful for people if you have a tryptophan deficiency, but it's definitely something that lowers a little bit of anxiety and can make you feel a little bit sleepy, but it is a naturally occurring amino acid in your system.
Calcium?
So calcium turns out is interesting because when you mix calcium with magnesium, it's easier to absorb. So for some people, what we've discovered is if you have a magnesium deficiency and you fix the magnesium deficiency, in many cases, it can actually help with overall sleep. And calcium is one of the things that can be added to it that helps with absorption. Now, unfortunately, the big problem is that there are 13 different kinds of magnesium out there. And so people don't know what's been studied and what hasn't. So I'm here to let you know there's only a couple of brands out there that have actually been studied for magnesium. The ones I like is there's one called magnesium threonate, which is made by a company called Magteen. They actually have a published research study in the journals. That's why I mentioned their brand name. I have no association with them. There's also another company called Upgraded Formulas. They make a magnesium. And it's kind of funny story is the guy who runs Upgraded Formulas told me, he says, my magnesium is the best in the world. I can make anybody fall asleep. And I said, hey, you want to put your money where your mouth is? Let's do a clinical trial. He handed me a check for 75 grand. I went and did a clinical trial and he was right. His magnesium really made people sleep better.
What is magnesium doing?
So we're not 100% sure. In the deficient people, it's obviously clearing up the deficiency of magnesium, and then magnesium is used in about I think almost 300 different functions in the body. So it probably lets the body work more efficiently, and probably that helps to overall sleep. But I'm not convinced that we have the whole mechanism of action worked out. I will tell you that when people take magnesium, they tell me that they introspectively feel calmer. And we definitely know that it can definitely help cause a relaxation response in the musculature. So I think that might have something to do with it.
Why did you bring a banana and a knife in a teapot?
This is my favorite way to get magnesium.
Oh.
A lot of people want to know, how should I take my supplements? I'm tired of taking a fistful of pills every morning, Michael. There's these powders. Like, what's the best way? The best way. So number one, supplementation is when you're not getting all of the things, the vitamins and minerals that you need from your food. So the best place to get it from is food, generally speaking. Turns out magnesium is one of the best ones, but it's problematic because we have to eat our magnesium. Our body doesn't actually produce it ourselves. And by the way, you could eat a bushel of kale and still not get enough magnesium, because here in the United States, the soil has been over-tilled, which means the magnesium isn't in the soil, so it's not coming up through the root stalks and allowing people to have it. So a lot of people require magnesium supplementation. Believe it or not, between magnesium and vitamin D, I'd say we've probably covered most of America in terms of having a deficiency. Bananas are loaded with magnesium, but it turns out it's not the fruit, it's the peel itself. So no, I'm not going to make you eat the peel.
I was going to say.
Don't worry. So I developed a recipe that I call banana tea. All it is a regular old banana. So what you do is you cut off the stem, right, and cut it in half, and then you drop it in to some boiling water. Okay, so we've already done this, right, and you can see the banana has turned brown, right? It's been soaking in the boiling water. So it's not really tea, it's just basically hot banana water. But with the banana, from the skin, you also get these things called phytosteroids that actually help you absorb the magnesium better than if you just had it from a supplement. So you have to really like bananas. My daughter says it's very banana-y, Dad. The flavor, I mean.
Oh, it does smell like banana.
I'm telling you, if you like bananas.
It's nice.
I know.
It's nice.
And you can use this as an evening ritual, and you can make banana tea and have it in the evening with, a biscuit or what have you, and have a night and read a book and just be chill.
How do I know the magnesium's actually in there?
Because it came through from the steeping in the water.
Oh, okay.
We could test it if we want, but I can assure you it's in there. You need to leave it in there for about 5 minutes, and we've been talking for a while, so I'm pretty sure it's there.
And how long before sleep to get those effects?
I would say about 25, 30 minutes. You don't want to have too much, by the way, because then you're going to have to wake up and pee. So try, if you can, to be able to have it about 30, 40 minutes before bed.
So you can put it in anything. So a lot of people have different types of teas, so you could just use that as the water instead.
Yeah. Oh, without question. Actually, that would be a really good idea. And if you mix it with like a fruit tea, like an herbal fruit tea, that would be really delicious.
Are there any other supplements that you do encourage people to take if they're struggling with sleep that we haven't talked about yet?
We haven't talked about vitamin D, and that's a big one. So it turns out that vitamin D is a circadian pacemaker. So when light comes into your eyeballs, it helps change your whole circadian system. And if light is coming in for a certain amount of time, about 15 minutes, your body will start to produce vitamin D. Vitamin D does a whole host of important things to your body, but most importantly, from a sleep perspective, is it helps regulate melatonin and when your body produces it. So by taking vitamin D every day, or getting 15 minutes of sunshine, either way, you're going to be in better shape. So like as an example, my morning routine that I have all my patients do is I have them, when they wake up in the morning, I have them go outside if it's nice out, sit in a chair and have 15 deep breaths merely to wake up the respiratory system, then 15 ounces of water, because once again, remember, you're dehydrated, and then 15 minutes of sunshine. So they can do all of this together at the same time, and it's a nice way to wake up in the morning.
I don't know any founder who started their business because they like doing admin. But whether you like it or not, it's a huge part of running a business successfully. And it's something that can quickly become all-consuming, confusing, and honestly, a real tax, because it's taking your attention away from the most important work. And that's why our sponsor, Intuit QuickBooks, helps my team streamline a lot of their admin. I asked my team about it, and they said it saves them around 12 hours a month. 78% of Intuit QuickBooks users say it's made running their business significantly easier. And Intuit QuickBooks' new AI agent works with you to streamline all of your workflows. They sync with all of the tools that you currently use. They automate things that slow the wheel in the process of your business. They look after invoicing, payments, financial analysis, all of it in one place. But what is great is that it's not just AI. There's still human support on hand if you need it. Intuit QuickBooks has evolved into a platform that scales with growing businesses. So if you want help getting out of the weeds, out of admin, just search for Intuit QuickBooks now. This is something that I've made for you. I realize that the Diary of a CEO audience are strivers, whether it's in business or health. We all have big goals that we want to accomplish. And one of the things I've learned is that when you aim at the big goal, it can feel incredibly psychologically uncomfortable because it's kind of like being stood at the foot of Mount Everest and looking upwards. The way to accomplish your goals is by breaking them down into tiny, small steps. And we call this in our team the 1%. And actually, this philosophy is highly responsible for much of our success here. So what we've done so that you at home can accomplish any big goal that you have is we've made these 1% diaries, and we released these last year and they all sold out. So I asked my team over and over again to bring the diaries back, but also to introduce some new colors and to make some minor tweaks to the diary. So now we have a better range for you. So if you have a big goal in mind and you need a framework and a process and some motivation, then I highly recommend you get one of these diaries before they all sell out once again. And you can get yours now at thediary.com, where you can get 20% off our Black Friday bundle. And if you want the link is in the description below. So let's talk about waking up in the morning.
Sure.
Morning routines.
Yep.
A lot of people talk about what's the perfect morning routine. Do you need to have a morning routine? What's your take on that?
So it depends upon how disciplined you want to be, and it depends upon how much time you have. I can tell you what my morning routine is because it's very specific, and I've discovered that it works really, really well for me. So I wake up naturally somewhere between 6:10 and about 6:25 or so. My body just seems to naturally wake up. I do 15 minutes of red light therapy. So I have a red light in my office that I sit in front of, and I do my meditation at the same time in the morning time. So I have about 15 minutes of meditation. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll sit on the floor and the boys will come and sit on my lap, and then we'll all meditate together. I know that sounds a little weird. Then we do a 15-minute walk. I try not to have any music or any telephone or anything like that up until this point. I put the dogs away and then I hit the gym. I'm at the gym from about 8 till about 9:30, 10 o'clock. I do a sauna every day afterwards, and then I'm in front of my desk by about 10:30, and that's when I have my breakfast. And so I make the same breakfast almost every morning. I do ground turkey with a third of a pound of ground turkey, 3 eggs, and broccoli, and I put it all into a skillet, and I make it every morning.
Do you use any sleep trackers?
In the past, I've used a few of them. I tried them out because a lot of my patients try them out. I think if I was going to be looking at them, I think the Oura Ring probably does the best job. I really don't think they've gotten there quite yet. Because remember, depth of sleep is based on brainwaves, and it's hard to get brainwaves from your finger, right? And so what they're doing is they're creating a proxy. So they're looking at heart rate or oxygen or pulse or something along those lines, and then saying, okay, when Steven's at this pulse, we think he's in REM sleep, so we're going to label every time that REM sleep, when in fact they don't really know because they're not measuring your brainwaves. So I think until we get to the point where we can measure brainwaves from distally, I think we'll have a little bit better shot at it. However, there's some interesting things that are going on kind of in the sleep tracker world. And some people get a little too into the whole tracking of it all, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't count the number of people that are like, oh my God, Dr. Breus, this says I only slept 14 minutes last night. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, number one, how much did you sleep the night before? And they say, 16 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, let's check you tomorrow. They come back tomorrow. It's even worse, 12 minutes. I'm like, oh, you're fine. They're like, what? I'm like, look, it's being consistently inaccurate. There's no way you only got 14 minutes of deep sleep, right? That's just not how the body works, right? But if you got 14 minutes, and then one night you look at your score and it's 407 minutes, I want to know what happened on that night.
My friend was a big fan of Whoop, so he told me to try Whoop. I tried a Whoop. The most, I think, critical thing it's done for me is it allowed me to create some understanding of like causation and like associations with my sleep. So one of the ones that completely changed my life when I first wore my Whoop, which by the way, I'm an investor in the company, so I have to disclaimer that, was I didn't realize how impactful alcohol was on my sleep.
It's massive,
Like it blew my mind because I had one glass of wine.
Yep.
And then the bloody Whoop thing said, you're either really sick really stressed, or you drank alcohol.
Yep.
And then I watched a video online where they compared all of the devices to the hospital grade stuff.
Yep, polysomnography.
And the Whoop 4 was the closest to the hospital grade. And then I contacted the company and said, could I invest, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I've also tried like 8 Sleep and...
I would argue that temperature, like if we're talking about what is the easiest thing to manipulate to change your sleep, either good or bad, temperature is it. And people don't realize it, but you can change the temperature in your bedroom, even in your bed, and you can change the quality of your sleep. You mentioned 8 Sleep. That's a company that has a topper type of thing that can change the temperature underneath the covers. There's also taking a look at the accoutrement that's on, so pillows, sheets, comforters, all of those things. But if you can get your body to cool down, your body will go down and get into deeper stages of sleep. If you can stay cool versus bumping up and down all night long, let's say you're a woman in menopause, right? That becomes highly disruptive. And so by being able to keep a consistent temperature stimulus to the body, it ends up sleeping a whole lot better.